Good morning, and welcome to Faith in the City, and if that's what you meant to come for, you're in the right place. A couple of years ago, 2019, seems like a long time ago, we had a collaborative effort to bring Nicole Hannah-Jones to this community. And she had really done her homework. So she knew what was going on in our county. It was not a canned presentation about what was going on in the rest of the world. She focused her laser view right on where we needed to pay attention in our own county when it comes to educational issues. And one of the things that she jumped on us for was that we had inadequate diversity in AP participation, that we had too few Black and brown students that participated in that, which is often a gateway to lots of other opportunities. Over the years, as we have continued this series, Faith in the City, and here we are in our 6th year, still looking at educational equity challenges, we have tried to both look at the challenges we face, the needs that we face, the advocacy we should be out there doing, but also, when we can, we love to bring good news. And so we're trying to keep some of that balance going, and I'm glad to say that today will be a good news presentation in response to the concern that we felt those years ago when Nicole Hannah-Jones pointed out, among others, this particular shortcoming. And so today, as you're listening, I want you to not only enjoy what we're hearing, but to continue to think about where there are ways that we can address the very real challenges that we've got right now in our state. Because what's going on in terms of funding and attention to our public schools is pretty scary and pretty dangerous for us as a state, I think. And so we all do need to be actively engaged as advocates. I have on my to-do list more emails I need to send. So as you're listening to our presenters today, keep that in mind as well. Sylvia Oberly will come up later to do the Q&A and to close us out with an announcement about our another collaborative effort we've got to bring somebody wonderful here to the community. Today, I'm so excited about this panel. We just have a wonderful panel for you. I'll try not to spend too much time on introductions and yet tell you how fortunate we are to have such experience and expertise and depth represented on the panel. So we'll be hearing, not in the order I name, I'll come back to that in a minute, from Dr. Clinton Wilson, who is the Chief Officer for Student Services, has 12 years more than that of experience in student services, has a Bachelor of Science in Exercise Sports from the University of North Carolina at Greensboro, and then went on to get a Master's in Counselor's Education and his Doctorate of Philosophy and Leadership Studies in Adult Education. That's quite a mouthful, from North Carolina A&T. We will also be hearing from Erin Edwards, who will be sharing the slides with us in a few minutes, who is the Director of Advanced Learning for the school system, an experienced educator with more than 2 decades of teaching and leadership. So she's walked the walk in terms of teaching these AP courses and now looking over how she can foster that across our system. We will hear from Dr. Nancy Martinez, and I have to pause to say she is the Triad Principal of the Year. And pretty soon we'll get to find out what happens at the state level. So she, in May, will learn whether she advances to the next level. She is in her 3rd year as principal at Career Center. Now, I have to tell you, I was struck by something. I've forgotten right now where I pulled some of this information up. Says she was born and raised in the beautiful island of Puerto Rico, but then moved to sunny Wisconsin to attend Marquette University, where she got a BA in mathematics, and then later, again, she completed her Master's in Guidance Counseling and her Doctorate in Educational Leadership. And she went to Charlotte to start a new school, and then later in 2020 joined our district and became the first Latina to lead a high school in our district. Michelle Hines is the Director of Guidance at Carver High School, a graduate of Elizabeth City State University with a Bachelor of Arts in Sociology and Social Work and a Master of Science in School Counseling from North Carolina A&T. Grateful for North Carolina A&T, they're sending us some good people. And she's got lots of experience at the community college level, as well as then entering the public schools in Rockingham, Guilford, and now Winston-Salem, Forsyth. And last but definitely not least, we have a student with us today who is a student in an AP class. She's taking AP Government and Politics. Hooray, we hope you run for office before long, we need you. Michaela Dixon is a student at Reagan, and so we will look forward to hearing from her. So Erin is going to come first and take us through some slide presentations. And we had asked them to share the good news about how things are changing in the AP world, what kind of challenges they faced, how they made these improvements, what kind of strategies did you use, and what do you see ahead on the road? And then they're going to talk among themselves and have a panel discussion, and we'll send the mic down. Okay, Erin, please welcome them.
Thank you so much. So we have some great news to share with you today, and then some things that we still have to work on to continue the progress that we're making. I am a former AP teacher and have been with my department for 4 years now, which is pretty exciting. I want to start with taking us to the state level. So we are very fortunate here in North Carolina that we have the NCAP partnership. So we have our own dedicated College Board employees that their job is to support us at the district level, to support teachers, to support students. They offer AP Summer Institute scholarships for our teachers, which allows us to make sure that we have teachers who are fully prepared to teach AP courses, because it is definitely a challenging area to teach with all of the requirements. Their goal is to increase access and successful participation in our advanced coursework in our North Carolina schools. They fund all test fees for AP and IB courses. So I remember a time when I was in high school that there were students who didn't take these advanced courses because there was going to be a cost associated with taking the AP exams or the IB exams at the end of the school year. And it wasn't a guarantee that you would earn any college credit if you took the exam. So it kept a lot of students out, especially our students with low socioeconomic status. So we're very thankful to them. They offer professional development geared towards all different levels. I'll actually be attending a professional development in March where I can help continue these goals. We have some promising results statewide this year. You may have heard about this. I know I've heard it on NPR driving into work. Nearly 60% of all students made a proficient score of 3 or higher. That's a credit earning score. That saves our students money when they go into their university. That's the highest rate in 5 years. I think it's really a testament to having this support. The proficient rate in 2018 to 2019 was 54.5. Nationally, on all AP exams was 60.2. So we're starting to get to that level. So last year, again, this is in North Carolina, we had 75,000 roughly students taking over 136,000 AP exams. Now imagine, these are a potential of students earning that many course credits when they go into college. 80,792 received that proficient score of 3 or higher. And the number of exams with a 3 or higher was a 15.4% higher than the previous year as we're coming out of COVID. And the nation's 1-year increase was 11.2 and 4.1 from 2018 to 2019. So we have some really amazing things happening in North Carolina. And I do want to credit NCAP scholarship and their support, as well as the work that we're doing in each district across the state. So when we look at our data in Winston-Salem, Forsyth County schools, we have participation beginning to show some increases from pre-pandemic enrollment. So if you remember, AP students who were taking an AP course during the pandemic, it was very challenging. I actually was still teaching during the pandemic. I taught AP Environmental, trying to figure out how to do college level labs with students who were not in a building with me, with my guidance, was very challenging. And we became very creative about it, but it was challenging for students. Their AP exams changed to online. It was totally different than what would prepare them for in class. So there were some challenges there, and there was a lot of anxiety for students not sure about taking AP courses. So we noticed that participation dipped just a little bit because students didn't know what the next years would hold. They didn't know whether they were going to be out of school. So we're starting to see those participation increases, which is exciting for me. We have additional increases for Hispanic and Black students, and we have more intentional enrollment that we're continuing to do, and I'll speak to that in just a few moments, but we're being very intentional in partnership with each other, but excited to see this growth. So as far as our credit earning exams, now this is a huge celebration for me. I have a senior in high school, and so as we're looking at how do we save money for college, this speaks to my heart as a parent, that we see that even though we have a slight drop in those number of exams, like I spoke to that anxiety of students wanting to go back into AP, students may not have taken courses that had prepared them over the pandemic. So we're starting to see that increase come back, but our score of 3 or above, you see we're starting to trend upward again. So that's very promising to me. So we've made quite an increase from the previous school year. Definitely a celebration. And then if we break it down further into our race and ethnicity, and this is exciting because we have been making efforts in schools and at the district level for encouraging our students who are from minorities to participate. So sometimes we have mindsets that, oh, don't have that student come into my classroom because they're not prepared. Well, their scores prove otherwise. We have successfully identified students who will be successful in AP courses. So we see increases, especially in our Black. It's gone up from 137 to 144, 190 to 219 with our Hispanic students. So definitely seeing improvement there. So a little bit about that AP recruitment that we spoke about. We have worked with our accountability department to create an AP potential tool to collaborate, and that way we can determine what students would be most likely to be successful in advanced coursework. Last year, we sent focused mailings to our parents of students who were identified with the AP potential tool, and we invited them to an information session in the evening to make sure that parents could attend, where they could learn more about the opportunities for their students. They could ask questions, they could hear from students themselves. If an adult tells you that you should take an AP course, it doesn't necessarily mean as much as if you hear from a student, and we know that. This year we're moving to an area model because it was so well attended. We want to make sure that we're accessible for our families and just where we can reach more folks. We have the initiation of pre-AP courses. So we have biology in pre-AP, English 1 and English 2. And this is a support because it's scaffolded for our students as they're moving into AP courses. They receive the skills that they need to be successful when they move on to AP. We know AP courses are challenging. They're college level courses. And we want to make sure that our students have the support they need as they move into advanced placement. So in 2024 and 2025, we're going to expand the pre-AP course offerings again. We'll have some arts course offerings as well, in addition to the existing pre-AP courses. And we'll have more opportunities for continued recruitment to be able to increase our numbers as students who are successful in their participation. So the work we've been doing with access and mindsets. We have been working with counselor training and mindset shifts. That's something that my department has done in collaboration with counseling. We have AP teacher training. Recently we offered Defeating Not AP Material Syndrome. So we want to make sure that teachers come in with a positive mindset in supporting students and teaching students what they need to be successful. That way we could boost their achievement for our struggling AP students. We want students to be able to have the support they need. We have AP Teacher PD through the College Board that is equity focused. We have counselor folders that have AP potential students, so counselors have that information available where they can have a one-on-one conversation with the students. Having those parent nights is wonderful, but having an individualized conversation can be impactful as well. We have that partnership with NCAP. We have coaching, district support, the APSI scholarships, and teacher trainings. We could not send nearly as many teachers to training if we did not have their support. And we have a district AP team for the first time. We have really intentional planning from multiple perspectives. What I know is limited. I understand that. And so when we come together, we can consider multiple viewpoints in supporting our students and being able to strategize to increase our enrollment. And with that, I think that I would like to turn it over to Clint, where we can hear more from our school-based folks.
Thank you all again. Do you have any questions about the data before we move forward? I want to make sure that we have that everyone, you don't have to focus on me, you can focus on them, they're champions.
I have one question, Dr. Wilson. It's
Sure,
not
yes,
exactly
ma'am.
about the data. It just suddenly occurred to me, for students that are going to either early or middle college, which gives them the access to an associate degree, do they take AP courses at
They can
all?
take AP courses as well if they would
Okay.
like to, yes. And again, a lot of the data, you have to realize, you know, when Aaron was talking about how some of it might have decreased or whatever, our students have a lot of opportunities to take other college credit courses. For instance, our CCP programming, our College Career Promise is a program that we have in conjunction with Forsyth Tech, where students can take courses there, they can receive credit for college. So it's like, you know, sometimes previously, years ago, it used to be competing, but in our district, we celebrate the wins together, CCP and AP together, because we want to make sure that every opportunity is available for every student moving forward. And so I guess the first question that I will ask the panel, and it's going to be asked sort of differently for different people. We have a counselor here, we have a principal here, and we have a student here. So of course, from the lens of their eyes, it will be different. So the first question I'd like to ask, and I'll start with Ms. Hines, is what strategies do you use to increase AP participation for students of color?
I'm the Director of Student Services at Carver High School, and we, this year, brought back AP. Prior to my coming some years ago, AP had kind of gone away from Carver, and they would have to go to the Career Center, which is also a great opportunity. But for our students, they were big on relationship and people they knew in the building. Like, I'll do it, but I would rather take it here with a teacher I know and have a relationship with. So what we've done, we brought AP Earth back. So last year during this time, the teacher who wanted to teach it, we had a curriculum day. So she's in there with us, sharing our new CTE courses and introducing AP back to Carver and to students who she had taught in honors bio and some in honors chemistry. And they were like, oh yeah, I'll take it. Absolutely, sign me up. So then that friend told a friend, and it was all about the relationship and them kind of like being in a cohort together. So they were excited about this group, and it's like 12 students that are there. So again, this year we had curriculum day because we have new CTE courses coming, and invited her and the entire class to be a part of that process. So they got to hear about what they're doing in AP, and students were saying, it's not just about the content, I've learned how to be organized. We've learned how to study together. I've learned how to study. So it's those additional things and skills that they're taking away that's kind of gotten them excited. It's gotten other teachers excited. They're asking, hey, I want to teach AP Lang. I want to teach AP Lit. How can we go about it? Well, it's just in time for our big curriculum day. We'll set you up a table. You can talk with students kind of and introduce it to them. So we have more, and we ask for teacher recommendations, and they're recommending students for AP prior to us getting the AP potential, and some of it was a perfect match. So building those relationships are some things that we're doing. We're meeting with them individually now, like, hey, your teacher recommended you for AP Earth. Me? Yeah. They was like, I'll try it. And one the success I will say, students have an opportunity to change their schedules the first 10 days of school. No one asked to come out of AP Earth.
Great.
Not one of the students asked to come out. That's a success story for us.
Now, let's go to Ms. Dr. Martinez first, and then we'll go to Michaela.
So,
Same question.
Same question. Okay, so at Career Center High School, we did several initiatives. We partner with Erin Edwards and the Advanced Placement Office to create the AP Capstone Academy. The AP Capstone brings students from rising ninth graders from schools that usually are underrepresented in the field of AP, and we bring them as a cohort. They stay with us for the afternoon. They take pre-AP Bio, pre-AP English 1, and then their first AP class. And so, but it was important to us to bring him here, but then to retain him. And to retain somebody, you have to create some success in what they do. So we partner also with Varsity Tutors to assign a specific tutor that could also be a mentor for every course that they take with us. And that was largely in part, thankfully, through our collaboration with the Winston-Salem Foundation and Leila Gamzat, who was here as well. And so they provided the funding, and not only for this varsity tutor, which is online, since our students come and go, they can schedule it when it's a good time for them, and they record those sessions, number one, for safety purposes, and number two, so that they can have a video library of tutoring sessions that as they study for their exams, they can pull that back. What did my tutor say about this? They can bring it back from the cloud and see that. And so then we further acquire funding to set them with supplies and book bags and field trip experiences that usually in high school we don't take as many kids to field trips anymore. So we went to bookmarks and they got to pick 3 books, and they did a scavenger hunt, and so they became this little cohort of 17 kiddos that took a big risk coming straight from middle school to Career Center. And so that was one of the things that we did, and then this year we already have the 9th and 10th graders that are gonna go through that AP Capstone Academy. So we teach them critical thinking skills that would set them apart from the other one, and as they finish this capstone diploma, because they are en route to do a capstone diploma, which is AP program that is only offered at Career Center, they get what's called the Capstone Scholar Distinction on their diploma, which gives them an edge on the common application, and which is, you know, really good. But then we also wanted to make sure that what if you need help when your mentor is not around? We wanted to make sure that we remove all barriers possible. So we also acquire to be the pilot for the 24/7 tutoring program from Varsity Tutors. It's more whiteboard texting kind of situation, but they still can record it. So if they have to go to church, if they have to go to soccer, there's no excuse to not do your homework. There'll be somebody there for you. The second strategy that we use is that, you know, we do all the things that we usually do. We promoted it in 10th grade, 10th grade presentations throughout all high schools. We did the open house, and we still didn't see that was giving us much bang for our buck. And then one day we had this beautiful idea. We have a committee, it's called the Seeking Equity Committee at our school, and the Promotion, Retention, and Enrollment Committee, they put their heads together. I'm like, oh my God, why don't we ask the kids? So, again, I'm like, what a bright idea was that? So, we partner again with Winston-Salem Foundation and Ellen Fox, our consultant, to do interviews with current Black and Hispanics and Latino students that were currently in AP, and said, you know, what is your experience? What can we do better? And they were more than willing to tell us how we did. And it was purposely done to not be one of us, so that they would be super honest with that. So not only they tell us what we can do better, they also advise on what professional development our staff needs moving forward. So they said your staff needs to do a better job and need more training on how to bridge the gap on background knowledge that some of us come and don't have. But we want to learn it, but we didn't have the opportunities or the resources that my counterparts did. And we really want to do good here, so please make sure that they are on that. Make sure that I can see myself in your curriculum choices, that there are doors and windows and mirrors that I can see myself in the curriculum. And communication, you know, we forget stuff, we're teenagers, we forget from the morning to the night. So please keep telling us what your expectations are, what are the services that you have for us, and how do we do a comprehensive approach. So we brought it to the school leadership team, and all of those are embedded in our school leadership plan this year. So when we say that, then they see that they're heard, they're seen, and we always tell them that we're not giving you a voice, you have a voice, we're just amplifying it for you. So this year we are then expanding those interviews to our career technical education students, because my dream is to cross-pollinate. That would be so good. So those interviews now are focusing on my Black and Latino kiddos that are in CTE, and that what can we do to get you into the AP? I don't know why I went New York here. What can we do to get you into an AP or honors class? And we're using that data to really empower them and see what we do.
Michaela, your question's a little bit different, but still from the same type. What strategies do you see at your school as far as recruitment and intentional partnerships with AP participation with students of color?
Well, the first thing I'm gonna say is that our counselors work endlessly, all day, all night, trying to get everybody's classes together. And we had one counselor who was out with leukemia for a while, and he's starting to come back, so they're kind of starting to bridge that gap of having to work with so many students. But I would say the biggest thing is that they genuinely try to create relationships with each and every one of their students. And yes, there are over 2,000 of us, but they really do try to remember everybody's name, and they work to understand everybody's background, so then they can almost recommend it themselves. Hey, I know you, I've been dealing with you since you were a freshman in high school, now you're a junior, and I've seen your work ethic, and I think that you'll do really well in this class. And so that is definitely something that I've seen that is definitely implemented. And then also having a Black counselor, he also kind of is that mirror for us. So he's like, well, I took this AP class when I was in high school, and I took this AP class, and I think that you'll do really well in it. So it's almost like the personal recommendation through the lens of somebody that looks like you is definitely something that is pushed. And our other counselors, even though they're not Black, they still make sure that they're not just filtering it. They don't filter themselves to work with different students. They simply just shape themselves to kind of fit like a puzzle with each student differently. So I would definitely say that is like the biggest strategy that I've seen used within our school.
And Michaela, just to say as well, she is a student that's taking every opportunity as possible. She's taking AP courses and CCP courses, so at the same time. So, and I think some CTE courses too. So she's in all three bridges, and she's, you know, just to make sure that she has every opportunity possible going forward post-secondary. The next question, and we can start with you, Michaela, too, again, is please describe successes and challenging in teaching a more diverse group of students. So at your school, from your lens, what are some successes and challenges that you see with teaching a more diverse group of students?
Well, I'm gonna just start with the challenges. So I go to Reagan High School. So all of our African American teachers are CTE teachers, and we have 3. We only have 3 African American teachers out of the 152 teachers in our school. Wow. I had to do a little bit of research before I came. I didn't just want to come in here and say anything. But and all of our teachers are amazing. That is not to downplay anybody, but I will say, because most of our, if not all of our AP teachers are white, it does kind of make African American and Hispanic students steer away, especially because AP classes have no boundaries. In AP Government and Politics, we are allowed to talk about things like abortion, we are allowed to talk about things like the Second Amendment, and things that you are not legally able to talk about in regular classes. And as a person who was blessed enough to have parents that have put me in certain situations where I'm comfortable in all types of environments, everybody does not have that. So you may not want to be the only Black person in your class and they're talking about slavery, or they're talking about civil rights, or you have a class full of conservative kids and you don't want to speak your mind or you don't feel comfortable. So I feel like that is definitely one of the biggest challenges, is that we don't have teachers that reflect that into us. Now I would say my teacher is probably the most non-biased teacher, and I was lucky enough to have him for civics last year. So when he said he was teaching AP government, I was like, oh yeah, I have to take your class, because he makes sure that he is saying strictly facts, what is on paper, what can be seen, and then he allows us to formulate our own opinions, and I feel like that is the best way to do it. But I've seen that as teachers get older and they teach it longer, some teachers tend to kind of fall off and they just kind of decide, well, I'm gonna just slip in this one little thing that I said, not realizing that it can change the trajectory of the whole classroom. Now for successes, I've definitely seen an insane increase in African American and Hispanic students in AP classes. Again, that goes back to our counselors really promoting it, really pushing it, really making kids feel confident, but that also does go into our teachers, who the first day you walk into class, he has a cowboy hat on, because today we're talking about how politics go all the way back to Western times. And we have funny president stories of the day where we talk about the cherry and the milk, and we talk about how taxes were made for one specific person so he wouldn't be sick, and it's just so many things that teachers do, especially at Reagan, that really make the class what it is. So I would definitely say one of our biggest successes was definitely the increase, just due to the environment that they create. Our AP teachers create such a safe environment. I'm the only Black person in my AP class, but when I walk in there, I don't feel like the only Black person in my AP class. I feel like I'm just in a class with other students who are learning the same thing, who may have different or who may have similar mindsets. And he allows me to speak my mind, and he always is like, whenever it's something that he knows that like I'm gonna be ready to talk about, he makes sure he calls on me first so I can go ahead and say my piece. Like he knows. But again, it also goes back to those relationships, creating relationships, asking. He'll have us doing some type of activity, individually, and he'll walk around and ask every single person in the room what they did for break, and have a conversation, not just be like, oh, hey, in front of the whole class, what'd you do? What'd you do? What'd you do? No, he'll genuinely talk, oh, you went to the mountains? I like to ride bikes. It's that relationship that's created. And I feel like that is so important, because without the relationship, how am I supposed to know I can go to you? How am I supposed to even be able to want to come to your class because I don't feel comfortable? So that's my answer. That's definitely the biggest challenges and successes.
Hans, can you answer the question?
I would say our challenge, I'll go with our success first. Since bringing AP back, like I said earlier, our English and Social Studies department now is like, hey, we want an AP course in our department. How can we make that work? Scheduling wise, it's probably gonna be really tight, but we're gonna try our best to make it fit where we're not having to put 30 plus kids in a class for civics because we wanna teach AP government and politics. So that's one of the challenges, but our success is that teachers now are like, if our honors English 2 teacher was like, hey, I have a group of kids who I know could rock out an AP lane, but I wanna teach it. I've had them, I've built them, I've grown them, I know they can do it. I need these kids in AP lane. I'm willing to do the training. I know it's a short summer, but whatever I need to do, just let me know so that we can bring this course back. And we'll pair it with study seminars, so it's not paired with another academic course. Well, they'll get that additional support throughout the entire year. So that's some of what we're doing. But teachers are excited, and they're like, hey, we want this. We want to teach this. Let's bring this back. So it's a school-wide thing now that's like, hey, we can do this and we can make it work with our schedule and our students. We're going to continue to build them up because our college enrollment is going up from Carver. Our students are wanting to go to college, but they want to be ready. They want to be college ready, and they want to have that writing because we have Winston-Salem State, Wake Forest, their students will come over, their mentor just kind of pop in and want to do panel discussions, how to be successful in college. You got to be able to write. So that's their thing. They want to be college ready. And so even the class that just graduated, they come back and they're telling them, hey, take that class. It's going to help you with this. So it's helpful when students have been through and have seen and can talk about their success and how it helped them in faith in their next phase of life.
I will start with the good news too. Last year, 68% of all the African American students that signed up for an AP class passed their exam. My Latino students were also at 69%, and our Asian students at 74.5. All those were above national and global averages.
Great.
So, now, do we need more students? Absolutely, because a year ago, we had only 6.5% of all students were African American in those AP classes, and we set out to change that. And even more concerning was that my Black males were only 2% of that 6%. So we definitely needed to change that. There was less gender disparity with our Latino students, but they were still at 8.8% representation. So we proved that we can be successful. We just need to bring them in, right? So then, so that was one of a breakthrough that the teachers were like, you know, we need to bring them in, put them in my classes. Our English 3 standards were tasked to identify students that could go into lit the following year, or if you're in honors to, you know, for the next bucket of learning. And then we trust our beautiful counselors from the different high schools to also push the kids, because this is what we always do. We're gonna push you, but we're gonna support you. That's what we do. And a big thing that we do, like my colleagues here said, is that relationships are very important, and a sense of belonging is very important. So we put a lot of emphasis on campus life at Career Center. We have Friday Fun Day. Every Friday we do karaoke, we do arts, you should see how they draw me. That's when they had to use Play-Doh to do their favorite person at the school. They even had my roots not done. I'm like, okay, time to go to the thing. I don't see it there, but they're taller than me, so they're like, no. I'm like, all right then. So, and more and more we celebrated Chinese New Year with the Chinese classes, and we're incorporating different celebrations, and because we want to be more than a center. We're Career Center High School. We want to make sure that they understand this is another school that they belong to, and they are seen and they're heard and they're part of this school. So the promotion, retention, and enrollment, or the pre-committee, that's part of their task. They create all of our campus life activities to make sure that our students feel comfortable. The teachers then have also some social emotional activities in the classroom meetings, asking them what, know more about them through surveys. And we have several teachers are piloting what we call the CARES Junior program, where they divide the groups in 4, and all of them will exchange numbers and parent information and all of that in case of an emergency, but also in case they're not here. So they always have somebody to call, even because they're obviously from all 16 high schools in the district. So that creates a sense of cohort and relationship among them themselves as well. And lastly, we have a great relationship with the School Health Alliance that provides therapy and provides medical services to our students, because that's another, I wanna make sure that we remove every barrier. So if you need some additional mental health support, but you don't have transportation, or you can't pay necessarily, I said we have a service for that. I'm like Apple, we got a service for that, we have a class for that, we have a support for that. There is nothing that they will want at our school that we don't have something that we can make sure that they have that support they need.
You might as well keep the microphone. Dr. Martinez. So we're gonna jump to our last question. We've look, we have a certain amount of time. Let's stay focused. So this is why I picked this panel. we've talked about a lot of great things today, a lot of success stories, but there's still work that needs to be done, as Aaron stated earlier today. So if you would share with us what needs to be done and what supports do you need?
So what needs to be done is to continue to talk to our minority students, to hear them, listen to them, and then based on that, make sure that we have in our school those supports needed, that we provide that training to the teacher that they said, to make sure that there's some fear, but I got you. You know, if I got 24/7 tutoring for you, and those tutors are bilingual. That, you know, if you need a one-to-one, I have that for you. You don't have a PES, I got that for you. You know, there's no barrier that we will not eliminate for our students, but they also have to believe in us. And just give me one semester. Just give me one semester, and I will prove to you that you belong here. And then the teachers are a big part also to pushing the students and say, you can do this. And so we are trying to reach out to younger audience, and thankfully the district have been super helpful with that. We have 3 open house a year. And for all 3 open houses, we invite parents 6th through 11th grade, because we believe that, you know, it's never too early to plant the seed. So that has worked really wonderfully. And then when they come to these open houses, our students are the ones that are talking to the future students. We have created additional partnerships to bring more interesting programs that, if I can bring you through CTE and get you into AP, that's what we'll do. We're building a single engine plane with our aviation program through Tango Flight. And they are so excited about that, the aerospace students. They actually asked me to come on a Saturday. Teenagers on a Saturday at school. And they wanted to be there at 10 a.m. I'm like, before noon, really? Okay. All 64 showed up. All 64 students that are in the aerospace program showed up. And they were so excited that during open house, they will grab students by the hand. Let me show you what I'm doing. Do you know? No, I just want them to show what I'm doing.
They wanted to show me too.
I know, it was like when you were a kid and say, let me say my new friend, you know, how to do things. And they were showing rivets and all kinds of stuff. Our drone program, it's, you know, expanding. We just got a $30,000 drone courtesy of our Golden Leaf Foundation grant. So what I try to do with my staff, you know how we always say, well, times are tough, we may have to tighten our belts. I go the opposite way. I say, think big, man. Tell me exactly what you want, how you want it, and what's your biggest dream. And my job as an administrator is to get it for you. So funding is always good. So the Golden Leaf Foundation granted us $334,000 to help with our aerospace program, drone, aviation, and Python programming. We have the robot dogs going around. We have the real dogs going around too, because we have a pet therapy program that helps the students to deal with the stress. There's 6 dogs and 2 rabbits and 2 chinchillas that come every different days of the week, and you should see teenagers just pouring themselves out to this dog. That is so beautiful. It brings a little tear. Let's see what else we do. So the funding is key in reaching out to the community. For CTE, there was this aviation program was dying a slow death. And I said, no, this has to change. Aviation is coming back to, you know, Greensboro and Winston-Salem. Let's reach out to those, to the people. We are soon opening a biomechatronics program. And there's a brand new company that's coming that will start students after some training, and then the training that we do at $50,000. So there's different pathways. It's not linear, your pathway to success. And bringing those life-sustaining jobs and family-sustaining jobs, training to Career Center is what we do, and then the sky is the limit for them. So the involvement of the community continue that, expand that, having the pulse into what's needed in terms of CTE programs that we can bring in that are exciting for our students. And finally, making sure that we provide the correct supports to our teachers. And that's something that next year, through Winston-Salem Foundation, we are exploring our biases, our blind spots, because we don't know what we don't know. So that is gonna be part of, so that they understand and they can reach that student. And if the kids see that we have a growth mindset and that we're learning, then they can too. So that, you know, and further, all of these things that they're telling us, oh, they took it into consideration. I am strong, and I'll end with this. As I was doing, I was a principal at elementary school before I came here, and one of the things that really broke my heart was a Latino student that came to see me and said, I'm coming to say goodbye. And I said, well, where are you going? And they said, you know, my dad said it's time for us to be invisible again. And that was when they needed to go so that they wouldn't be, and she just climbed into my lap and said, I am so tired of being invisible, you know, and I'm not going yet, I have 3 weeks, and then she said, why? And I said, I don't know why, Mama, but what I can tell you that as long as you're here, you're loved, you're safe, and you will have what you need. And so I keep her, Carmen, in my head, and I say to my students, you're not invisible, you're heard, you're seen, and as long as you're here, you belong.
Would you clarify something? Because we used to have a model where all AP was taught at Career Center, people may be a little confused about to what extent it's moved out so that we offer it both at Career Center and at the local school. Could you sort of give us a clarification there?
So all of our AP courses are in our course catalog for the year. So as long as a course has enough student interest at a high school, it can be taught at the local high school, but they also have the Career Center as an option as well.
Right. And so did they stay at the Career Center for how many years?
2 years, but they participate in the AP capstone. They are with us since 9th grade all the way to 12th grade for half a day. And then they go back to, you know, to their high school. I tell them they can have it all.
But if they're not in your capstone, they go to their regular school part of the day and come to you just like they used to?
Yes.
Yeah,
Okay.
and if they're
That's
in
the
capstone,
plan.
they do half a day at their home school. It's just that they
Okay.
start a little earlier.
Okay.
Usually Career Center is juniors and seniors. So with the capstone, I'm bringing a cohort a little younger to
Yeah,
mold
she has
them.
some
into-
Thank you, I'm sorry to interrupt.
No, ma'am, you're fine.
I was in the school system for 23 years. Started at Glenn High School when they got their first senior class. And so that was 85. We didn't get to have an AP class until 2002. So the culture was, coming from above, that those of us in the home schools were not smart enough to teach an AP class. So I applaud everything that I'm hearing today. I've got a grandson who will be an 8th grader next year, and he'll be looking at what comes next. And the idea that it's students talking with students about, well, I'm doing it, come on with me. That second year of AP Lit at Glenn, the lead cheerleader got her 4 best friends to come with her into that class of 11. And it was all about the relationship and what we could share with each other. But it's also that business of, we are, as you said, we're pushing you. I always talk to them in terms of, I'm the coach. I want you to be able to play at the next level. And So I'm just so excited about everything you're saying.
Michaela, what do you think? You're going into your senior year. So after this, you know, you'll be going out into the world and pursuing your dreams and your goals. So what still needs to be done before you leave? If you can make a mark at Reagan High School and say, concerning AP enrollment, things of that nature, what still needs to be done there?
I feel like there's so many things, but that's always been like my biggest goal, and I always tell my dad, and we always talk about this, but I always say, if I don't do anything, I wanna leave a mark on people. If I don't get to be the lawyer, the judge that I wanna be, I want to leave this earth imprinting something on people that stays with them. So if I could leave something at Reagan, I would leave inclusivity, not diversity, because we have that. We have every race, every age, every learning style, but the inclusivity is lacking. The inclusivity is with the people who don't really understand what it means, if I can put it in terms like that. It's with the people who think that diversity and inclusivity are the same thing. And yes, they go hand in hand, but this is a diverse room that I'm just looking at. It's diverse in here. But if you do something that is only targeted to a certain percent of the room, it no longer becomes inclusive. So if I could leave anything, I would leave the power of inclusivity, but also the power of confidence in the African American and Latino and Asian students, that it's okay to speak up. You don't have to be afraid because you're the minority in the school. You don't have to be concerned that something is going to happen and you have no power. I want to leave a strength in those students to pass on. Like I want somebody to pass it on to the next student and the next student. Like most of my friends have always been older than me, so they've all taught me so many things. And so now I'm kind of like everybody's mom, so I leave things on them. So as they're coming in, I have sophomores that'll be juniors next year that I'm taking this AP class with this teacher because Michaela did it. And I'm doing CCP because Michaela did it. And she's helping me, give me the options, give me the power, give me the strength to realize that Reagan High School is not just it. Life is beyond those walls. Life is beyond the walls of schools. So I wanna leave with the imprint that you can do whatever you want to. You just need to make sure that you're confident enough to step into that opportunity.
You taking more next year?
Actually, I will. Well, after this year, I'll be done with all my high school courses. So next year, all I have to take is EPF. So I'm gonna do an internship, and then I'll probably finish off with just some more college classes.
May I ask one word? You just mentioned inclusive. For handicapped children, whether it's behavioral, emotional, or physical, are they included in this program? Are they given the same opportunities?
Now, that is something that, because we have our integrated classrooms, I can attest to. Yes, they have those opportunities. And I feel like we can still push a little more. Like, I feel like everything can be pushed a little more. Everything is content where it is, but we can always push it a little more. People who are handicapped, especially because that makes them no less than us, if anything, it almost makes them more than us because they are having to live the same life, the same challenges that we are with a disability that normal people, like, it would hinder us. Like, if I couldn't walk today, that would hinder half the things that I like to do, that I have to do, but yet they wake up every day and they do it with a smile on their face, with hopefully joy in their heart. They are happy with it. And so, yes, they are included. Yes, they are allowed into this inclusivity. They are a part of this group, this team, but we can always push it a little more.
What about the emotionally and the behavioral handicapped who are academically gifted?
I feel like for people who are twice gifted, because that's what I call them, because I feel like, number one, school's not for everybody. Being inside of a classroom is not for everyone. I take all of my college classes online because for me, going into a classroom doesn't really do anything for me. But I do feel like kids who have behavioral and emotional issues, they just need that support. It all goes back to who is up under you, who is the foundation, who is the concrete that you're standing on. Because if your concrete is soaked up with water, it's gonna get soft, it's gonna crack, it's gonna fall apart, and there's not gonna be anything for you to stand on. But it all goes back to the foundation. Who are the adults? Who are the people? Who are the students? Who are the parents that are up under these students that are helping them not only elevate and exemplify themselves, but to stand on, to be able to fall on and not move. So I feel like we need to work on having a stronger foundation for those students, because I have parents that I fall on all the time, everything. I'm blessed enough to have parents that are like that. But everybody is not blessed with those same parents. So I feel like it takes us as a community, it takes us outside of the four walls of the home, out of the four walls of the school, even to create that foundation that is strong enough for them to fall on, and they can pick themselves back up, and they'll have somebody to help them pick them up and keep them going.
Statistically, are there any analysis done of how many of these young people are included in the program?
So that is not data that I have with me today, but it's something we could follow up with. I can speak to, in general, for our gifted programs, we are actually working on better supports for twice exceptionality. So students who are gifted and then have some other kind of exceptionality. This morning, we actually had some support for our multilingual learners who are gifted. So it's an area that we're looking at encouraging that support and providing district level support as well. But I do not have that data in front of me
I
today.
have 38 years with exceptional children, if you want to call them that. And I think that is an area that we in general in education haven't reached the challenges that are there. And I know many of these young people who are extremely bright, but due to their problems, if you can call them that, they are not being challenged academically. Some of their other needs are being met, but maybe we are not doing what we could do in that area.
And
I would be very interested.
Yes, and that is definitely a high priority for the district in the inclusive model.
It is.
So it is very near and dear to my heart as well.
That is something that we discuss a lot concerning all of our students. And even those students that had that AP potential that Aaron was talking about, those nights that we had for our students that had AP potential were not enrolled. A lot of those met that category. And so when parents actually heard about, my student can do this, yes, your student can do this. And even if we have to put, because sometimes you have to do inclusion based off the IEP, even if you have to put a teacher in that AP classroom, because a lot of times it's a mind shift that we have to have as educators, right? So just because the student's taking an AP course does not mean that they might not need additional supports as well. And so some people might say, you have an AP class, but it's inclusion? Yes, it's inclusion. We have inclusion AP courses because of the fact that those students need additional supports as well. They might need a read aloud, they might need extra testing time, but that does not mean they don't deserve to be in the same classroom as everybody else. And so therefore, so it's a mind shift that's happening, and I think that the team that we have, especially spearheaded by our wonderful superintendent, who is for all students, for all students to have every opportunity possible. I think those are the reasons why we're having these intentional conversations, and that we are so glad that we're here today to have these intentional conversations with you all, because it's wonderful to have educators in the room to say it wasn't always like that, and I'm glad to hear that, or to garner wisdom from you guys to see what we need to move with moving forward. But yeah, that is something that is a high priority in our district. It's our goal too for our district. We have 5 goals, and this is the second one, I believe, to increase CCP, AP, CTE with all students in mind, and advanced level courses with all students in mind, regardless of where they are.
Could you quickly go back through your acronyms and say what they are? What each one of those stand for?
Oh, AP Advanced Placement, CCP Career College Promise, CTE Career Technical Education courses.
Thank you.
And advanced placement and college and career promise both can earn college credit.
Right.
And I just wanted to add that at Career Center, we have, an OCS,
Yep.
unit that has come from all the different high schools. We have been, anybody.
Occupational course of study.
Yes,
Sorry.
Because if you want to try it, we're here for you. If you meet us and you have the desire, the ganas, like I tell my multilingual kids, we will make sure that you have success with us. So I have current OCS students in culinary and cosmetology and then in regular English standard classes. And to your point, 80% of all exceptional children's students have the same or higher level IQ as their peers. They just process information different, and that's where our students have great teachers here at Career Center to mitigate the gap. So we're grown from one EC teacher, and I am asking for 2.5 for next year. So, thank you.
I know we had a question in the back and
Yes,
then
we
a
want to
question
have a
right
few
here.
minutes for questions.
Yes, in the back.
I wondered what the statistics were for the students that are not in the Career Center. You shared how well the minority students are doing at the Career Center. Do you have any information about the other students in the local schools, how they compare? And also, you talked about the support with the virtual tutors. Did minority students in the local schools have access to such support? And sorry, one other thing is, how do you decide which direction to push a student as opposed between AP and college, when AP is a full 1 year course, whereas college is per semester, so you possibly get 2 classes for 1 AP class.
So those are fantastic questions. I'll take a couple of them and I'll.
And I could take some too.
And,
Take one or two.
So I can speak first, I guess, to the advantages of AP versus CCP. So as an AP teacher, advanced placement teacher, I know the level of rigor that students are being, taking part in and preparing them for their college experience. There are lots of advantages to AP. I'm a parent who, both of my children are in early college, and they take college and career promise courses. So they're earning college credit. Sometimes in a year, in a time slot, they can earn 4 credits because they have mini-mesters now. And as a parent who is an educator, and my husband's an educator as well, financially, it makes a lot of sense for us. I know that necessarily they may not be getting the same level of rigor as an advanced placement course, but for our family, it's what works. It's kind of what works for an individual student. Maybe they like taking online classes. So it's a very personalized decision that when we have these AP CCP nights, we really go through the advantages of each one, because it really depends on what maybe you want to do, what needs your family has, the style of learner you are. There's a lot of different variables to that. To your question about Career Center versus homeschools for their courses, we actually on our website, if you go to the Winston-Salem Forsyth County Schools Gifted tab, you can actually look by school for all of that information and by course, but we are seeing those same gains in homeschools as well. Career Center is amazing, and I really appreciate all the work they're doing, but we are seeing it across the board.
And the advantage of Career Center is that we have the opportunity to offer more AP courses in one site. So it's 34 AP courses that we offer at Career Center. But we're here to supplement, not supplant, our beautiful job that our high schools are doing.
Like, let me just give you an example, going back to the AP versus CCP. Again, it's those intentional conversations that we're having with students across the board about what you would like to see. For instance, and Hines, correct me if I'm wrong, for English 3 and 4, to get the high school credit, you have to take 4 courses in CCP, so 4 career and college promise courses to get 2 English credit courses to meet graduation requirements, English 11 and English 12. Whereas in AP, you will only have to take 2 courses. So again, it's about that student to see, would you prefer to do all these courses in English? Do you have that rigor? Is that your thing? Or
Very
would it be,
personalized.
right, it's personalized, or would you prefer to have these 2 and you could still possibly garner college credit as well? So it's about going a step beyond what's actually out there on the catalog, but having that intentional conversation and knowing your student to say enough. You might not, you're a math science type of student now. Do you really want to take 4 English courses to get two credits for high school? Or would you like to take 2, because everyone's gonna like their own different thing. Everyone's not gonna like English, everyone's not gonna like science, everyone's not gonna like math, so
It's not a one size fits
it's not a
all,
one
but-
size fits all. So, like for instance, my godson attends Winston-Salem State University. He's a freshman, but he came in as a junior because he took AP and CCP courses. So he'll be finished in 2 years. But he's 18 years old. He'll be finished in 2 years. But he took those and coincide with what he liked. So he liked some of the college courses, and he didn't like some of them. So he chose AP courses. He took AP Gov. He took AP US History. He took, the histories and things of that nature were mainly his AP courses. So, it just depends on that student, but it's that intentional conversation that the counselor, teacher, or principal, admin is having with that student to get that student the best service that they need with those type of courses.
I hate to interrupt this wonderful panel. This is one of the most engaging panels that we've had. We'll bring you back for planning purposes. I also think they would be, I could just tell that they would be willing to stay behind just for a few individual questions if you have those. Before we leave, I want to just make an exciting announcement that next month, I've never been accused of needing a microphone. Next month, instead of our Tuesday Faith in the City, we are joining together with other community partners, some of you in this room, for an exciting coalition event Tuesday evening, April 16th. And similar to when we brought Nicole Hannah-Jones here several years ago, we're bringing Dr. Bettina Love to speak about her work looking at educational reforms and how they have harmed Black children and how we heal from that. And we're very excited about her being here with us to speak about her scholarship and her work. So you'll get more information about that. It will be at Union Baptist Church, room for 800 plus people, and we plan to pack those seats. And so you'll get more information and hear about that, but that will be in lieu of our next Faith in the City. We're excited to be part of that coalition. So Tuesday night, April 16th, 7 p.m. at Union Baptist Church. Hope you can be there. Once again, let's have another round of applause for our panel. Thank you very much.